Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. This is Honest to God, a production of the Quest Atlanta's Catholic Radio. Super pumped to be here. Mostly long time, not seen in a long time, though. Veterans. We got AG, we got Justin, we got Patrick, and we got John Marco. First time ever on the show.
Hello.
Yeah, dude. Super happy to have you here. We're going to be talking about all things Lent. We're going to be talking about fish fries and penance, and hopefully we'll revisit my favorite Lent topic that we've done the last few years, which is Lent hymns, everyone's favorite Lent carols, which are hit or miss usually because no one knows what I'm talking about when we do it. But I'm excited about this episode. I think it's going to be great. It is Ash Wednesday. Well, no, it's not. It's a Saturday close to Ash Wednesday. Mm-hmm. Obviously, every episode of Honest to God is filmed live, and I just forget the exact date that it is today, right now, in the real world, right outside of these doors. But before that, we got to do fun facts. And before fun facts, somebody's got to pray. I don't want to put John Marco on the spot, but would you mind starting us in prayer?
Yeah,
you okay with that?
Yeah, of course.
All right, brother, whenever you're ready.
In the name of the Father, and the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Come, Holy Spirit. Come, Lord. Soften our hearts. Teach us how to pray. Lord, thank you for getting us all here safely. Thank you for the lives you've given us. Thank you for the liturgical seasons that you've given us, for the church that you've given us, all the guidance, for holding our hand. Lord, we just ask that you please guide us here during this conversation, and that you sit down with us, speak through us, and are in this room with us. May we not speak anything that you don't want us to speak, and we ask that you soften also the hearts of our listeners so they may receive your gospel and your message. We ask all this in your most holy name.
Amen.
Father, Son, Holy Spirit.
That was a really good prayer, John Marco. Thanks for that. I don't grade prayers because I've been specifically asked not to grade prayers. But if I did, I'd be like a 93, 94. So a solid A prayer is what I would grade it if I did, which I don't. All right. So before we get started on Lent, we got to do fun facts. Yeah, I think you guys both owe us two. I feel like you ought to. It's been like a year, hasn't it?
I feel like it has.
Goodness.
It's been
a long time. Patrick, I think you might be able to get away with one. I feel like you've been here since they've been here last.
Yeah, the last one I did is the medieval episode up in...
See, that was like last weekend, basically. Yeah. So you just owe one, and then John Marco, if you don't mind giving us two, that'd be great. And it seemed like you guys... Were you just ready with one, or do you actually have two?
I have one.
You have one.
Just the one.
All right, well, think of it. You don't have one yet?
I mean, I don't know.
Oh, you're killing me. All right, well, Justin can start with his two, and then we'll go back around. You can be the last one, AJ.
Okay.
So the first one I had, I'm a bit of a language nerd, which I don't get to flash as much as the Tolkien nerdy stuff here, honest to God.
We still have to do our third Lord of the Rings episode, by the way.
We do.
Yeah.
I'm waiting with bated breath.
Can't wait.
But I went and looked up the etymological source of Lent, the word, and apparently it comes from the Old English Lengten, which referred to spring. There's some Dutch overlap as well, which can be pretty common with Old English. But the power of Google informed me of that much.
That's a really good fun fact. All right.
Thank you. Second one's more difficult.
Honeymoon related. Come on, that was floated beforehand.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah.
That's true. I don't know if it's a fun fact or just a humble brag. We got to go up the I forget their names. The stairs where you go up on your knees.
Oh yeah, like the stairs
right
up
before
in
closing.
Italy. It was cool. It was that we were there right before closing, so they were like, you need to speed it up, and we're like, oh, okay, cool.
Let me just run up these stairs on my knees.
Just do that. And there
it.
was like grandmas with us and stuff, and I was like, just let the grandmas do their thing. Don't rush us. Like you just let the grandmas do what they need to do. But yeah, that was really cool. But yeah, since then we've gone to Scotland, which was cool. We actually went to a grotto in Scotland, which was really fun. It's run by a church, and we got to meet these really nice Scottish people, and they gave us free dessert and tea, and we love that. What else did we do?
That was a Carfin grotto.
Yeah, it's called Carfin Grotto. So if you're ever in Scotland, definitely do that. It's like
100%.
About an hour and 20 out of Edinburgh.
Yeah, a little ways from Edinburgh, but it's definitely worth the hike.
See, that was like 8 fun facts. That was killer. Yeah, you both maxed out. That was perfect. Thanks, guys. Patrick, you got any Scottish related fun facts?
Well, actually, it's funny. Me and a friend were in Scotland. We were mostly up in the northern and what is it called? It's like the Highlands. We went to the Scottish Highlands and stuff. But we were in Glasgow and we got a flat, and it was a very long wait, but the tow truck driver finally arrived. And he came out of that truck. I didn't understand anything he was saying. It was English, it was English, but his accent in particular was just so thick and strong. He could have been speaking Spanish and would have been the same thing to me.
Yeah.
Good for him. I like people who sound like they're from somewhere. I think that's
Yeah.
neat. Yeah. That's really cool. I've never been to Scotland. I've been to Ireland. Been to England. I've never been to Scotland. Been to Rome. It was like 15 years ago, and my wife and I need to go again. The problem is that it costs money to go to Rome, and that's
it costs money to fly over the Atlantic Ocean.
Sure.
And that's the tough part.
it's big.
Yeah.
Sometimes
Yeah,
it feels
okay.
like it costs money to breathe in England.
I'm sure. No, that's fantastic. All right, yours don't have to be international related, John Marco, but you're welcome to.
They're actually both gonna be. Right? So my first fun fact is that I'm a musician. I play the drums, the guitar, and a Russian instrument called the balalaika.
Sick.
And my second fun fact.
You got to tell us something about the balalaika.
Okay,
What is
so
it?
it's a stringed instrument, and it's like a banjo, but if the bass was a triangle.
Okay,
And it's a folk instrument. It's a lot of fun. I don't know. I found it in middle school.
that's really cool.
My niche thing right before COVID, I got it, and that was like all I did
That's
in my
awesome.
room was play with it.
Okay, that's great.
Yeah. And then my second fun fact is that I have 4 passports. I have my Spanish passport, Italian passport, Venezuelan passport, and USA.
That's wild. Who you pull for in the Olympics? Then?
Probably Italy.
Do you really?
Or
Oh,
US,
get
or
out,
US, or
John
US.
Marco.
Well, with Italy, you have a Euro passport, so you can just go anywhere.
Exactly.
I'm very jealous of the European
I'm very
passports.
envious. See, I thought I was cool with my 2 little passports over in the corner here. That's the goal, especially having some EU ones. I had to renew my passport, my British passport, before heading over this time around. And I got the nasty blue. I miss the red. I
Oh,
miss
they changed the
blue.
color.
Yeah.
They
Yeah.
did. They
Sucks.
did. I learned when I was looking it up, apparently, well, sneaking in a fun fact, there's like a whole array of passport colors that you never see. But you can get all sorts.
Yeah.
Anyway, very mundane.
Start collecting passport
Yeah.
colors.
It'd be
I
cool.
like that. I travel internationally in the summer, but it's always like the same 3 countries that I'm going through, and so I just have page after page of the exact same stamp. I want new and exciting stamps.
That's the thing. When we go to England, we don't get a stamp. They just
That's
it's just
lame.
lame. Yeah, because they scan it, so it's lame. We did get a stamp when we went to Greece, and I liked that. I appreciate
That's
that
cool.
very much.
That was cool.
That's cool. I like that. I've been trying for the past 45 seconds to try to figure out a segue between passports and Lent.
I have one.
Okay, do it.
Well, since there's different colors, is there a purple one for the Lenten season?
Whoa!
that was
Did you
great.
go to the Harvard School for segues like I did? That's really good. That was
Trying.
really good. I like. Is there a purple passport?
I think there might be.
That's amazing.
There has to be.
All right, that can be a fun fact next time you guys are on. Would love that, actually. Yeah, so I do want to dig into Lent, right? Lent's about to start. We've got Ash Wednesday either coming up or just happened. Producer Madeline?
Something like that.
Yep, one of those 2 things is true. Every episode of Honest God is filmed live on Saturdays at 4 o'clock. So I'm really bad with calendars. But there's the more I get sort of, I don't know. Once again, I don't want to sound like I'm bragging here, but the more mature I get in my faith, I think, right? Which is, I'm far from mature, but I'm more mature than I was 5 years ago, 10 years ago, 15 years ago. The more I realize how underappreciated Lent is as a time of preparedness, as a time of penitence in the church. And I don't know. I want to delve into this a little bit, and I don't want just this to just be a, what are you giving up for Lent? What are you taking on for Lent? I want to do that. I want to talk about some of that stuff, but I really want to talk about how we understand Lent, maybe how we misunderstand Lent as 21st century Catholics, and what we can do to, I don't know, reverse that. How can we come to a deeper appreciation of this liturgical season? We've talked so many times on this show, Patrick, about how the liturgical calendar and the feasts and the fasts, right, and what are so good and natural in sort of, I don't know, as a, they feed into our nature, they feed into the history of humanity, right, in this way that everyone else appreciated, and a lot of times we're sort of forced into by the seasons and everything. And now we don't have to do that because we have refrigerated trucks and international right travel like that and all this. So I don't know, just kind of big picture. Can somebody explain the purpose of Lent?
Yeah, I mean, it's a penitential season in preparation for Easter. And so it's always known that Christians were the Easter people. And so it's the reason why we are Christians is because of Christ's resurrection. And so there's almost, you can say, like it's almost like a little bit of a reset to us to separate from the world, take almost a deep breath, and refocus ourselves for reminding ourselves in a way of who Christ is and why we celebrate or not celebrate the things that we do. And so I would say it's a little bit of like this reset period to remind us of things. But it's also a good way to separate ourselves from the world, to realize that we don't really need, in some aspects, we can grow beyond our needs of the world through our growth and love of Christ. And so if you're very afraid that you can't get through your social media or whatever, maybe that's a signal that that's maybe what you should kind of like ex-nay and try to go without.
What's the distinction between a Lent and an Advent, right? Because I was having this conversation with someone the other day, right? We live in a society, we live in a culture where it's much easier to secularize Christmas than it is to secularize Easter, right? It seems to be, right? But like you said, we're an Easter people. We're not a Christmas people. I mean, Christmas is a very important solemnity. That's a very important, obviously, right? The birth of Jesus Christ. But what is the distinction between an Advent and a Lent, and how are they different?
I think that while they're both times of preparation, I think Lent is different because while Christmas is orienting towards like this season of rejoicing, of course, but Lent is very much about uniting ourselves to the suffering of Christ. I think there's much a deeper undertone of this like solemn theme of suffering. And while you don't really, I don't, and that's I guess why maybe some people kind of gloss over Advent, is because I don't think there's that same undertone necessarily. But especially the end of Lent, I think is so much more. It kind of just infatuates all of that with Holy Week, and you're just going through the Passion of Christ through Holy Week. Well, I don't think necessarily Advent has that.
Yeah, there seems to be much more. Sorry, go ahead.
Well, what I was going to say is I actually prefer Lent over to Advent. Like, I feel like Lent for me is so much more fruitful than Advent, because I feel like in Lent, like, you kind of have to participate. There's something you can kind of, like, do. Whereas I feel like in Advent, it's like, prepare your heart for Jesus. And it's like, well, what does that mean realistically? Whereas, like, I feel like with Lent, there's, like, almost, like, actionable items. So I feel like I'm more connected to it in that way, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, we have a lot more, it seems like, sort of traditions around Lent, right? You've got your Stations of the Cross. You've got even, I mean, my, like, little kids are still saying, what are you going to, I'm going to give candy. What are you going to give out, right? There's this idea that, okay, there's something penitential to this. And Advent, it seems more of a, I'm not saying that Lent's not a time of preparation, but I'm saying it seems more preparation focused, whereas Lent seems more penitential. Yeah. Right?
And I think, too, with Advent, like, you fall into, I think it's easier to fall into the secularization of it.
Because it's everywhere.
Because it's like, I have to buy Christmas presents, and I have to go to this Christmas party, and I have to do this, and I have to do that. Whereas, like, there's not really a secularization of, like, Easter, because it's the crux of Christianity.
I think there's also something about, because the secular world essentially celebrates Christmas the day after Thanksgiving, at least in the U.S., and so I think for us, sometimes maybe there's not as much of a payoff of being able to experience like that dark period for that short amount of time, and then finally being like putting up the lights in the tree and being like, it's here, right? Where, because it's like, it's like November 28th or whatever it is during that year, and it's like, light, oh, it's Christmas now, right? You don't have kind of
I have to limit my Christmas music because I get sick of it. I can't do it.
Don't worry, the second the clock strikes midnight on the December 26th at 12 o'clock a.m., there will be no Christmas music on anything, and everything's gone. I'm curious about what I'd love to see what a secularization of Lent would look like. Like, how do we even do that? Is it just sackcloth and ashes?
Is
and
it just
everyone's-
goth movies? I don't know.
There you go. Yeah.
Oh.
Lots of depressing Victorian, like, yeah, I like that.
Something with the Stoics maybe or something.
Yeah.
Trying to be
Just reading Plato.
Yeah, this is Marcus Aurelius, everyone. Let's sing our Stoic hymns. No, okay, I think that's good. It's hard to I don't know, articulate that difference. And I do feel like, to the church's credit, there's been much more of an emphasis, at least that I've noticed in the last 5 years or so, 10 years, on Advent and the importance of Advent. How no, that's a separate season. We're doing a separate thing. So I don't know. I just think that pointing out the distinction is important. So, do you guys have any, or did you grow up with any specific sort of Lent traditions? Right, if we're having a mind meld here to come up with sort of how to get the most out of this season of penitential preparedness, I don't know, you got any foundation to stand on? Do you have any traditions that you grew up with?
No, the only one I can mention is in Poland they do Fat Thursday, which would be today, and so you get pączki, the Polish donut,
Right.
jelly donuts basically, and you just eat a lot of those. Was like that's like a pre-Lenten tradition. But I think, in general, I think that's also a good thing of preparing through celebration as well. Of like, let's celebrate as much gifts that we do have in preparation for, the penitential season.
Right.
So, in the U.S. you have something like Mardi Gras. Like,
Yeah.
let's make Mardi Gras Catholic again in a way,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah,
And like
absolutely.
take that in and let's like have one big hoorah, one last hoorah before we all kind of come to prayer.
Are you at Epiphany? Do you go to the Visiting Church?
Yeah, I go to St. John Chrysostom. I go to the Malachi one down
awesome.
in yeah.
Do they have all those cool Eastern Catholics? Like you have the like the cheese celebration,
Yeah,
and then
so-
there's no dairy,
yeah,
and then
this-
the meat.
So 2 weeks before Lent is meat fair. So that's the last time you can have meat, and then the Sunday before Ash Wednesday is cheese fair, and that's what the last day you can have dairy, and and then basically, I think it's more like 47 days for the meat, but it's essentially 40 days and 40 nights without dairy or meat is
Right.
the kind of like the standard.
Straight up, like
penitentiary.
vegetarian, no dairy, no meat.
Vegan.
That's
Vegan,
not
even
wild.
vegetarian.
Eggs? Can you do eggs?
No.
Wow.
It depends. They treat it in a way where you should speak to your priest as a spiritual director, so he can get a sense of how much you're like spiritually prepared to fast or not. So
Right.
go according to him. And so they have like stages of fasting. So sometimes it could be like, just do no meat for this season, and then like try also to add dairy like next time or something. But essentially, there's it's no dairy, no meat, no olive oil, because it comes from mostly like the the Middle East and stuff like that. So no olive oil and no wine. And also, there's no fish either. So anything with a
Stop! None of the workarounds work.
so that any animal with a vertebrae you also cannot have. So you can have like shrimp and clams and stuff, but you can't have fish. So like even in the East, a fish fry wouldn't work.
Well,
Oh,
Yeah,
I was at a
Hardcore.
church, and I won't say which one it was. I was at the church for a basketball game with the CMLA, right? And they had the first ever Lent commercial that I've ever seen. They had a big screen, and it had a crucifix behind the church, and it said, "Stations of the Cross." Fish fries. Like, it was advertising all this stuff that was going on, and then it said Lent at so and so. I was like, like I don't hate it, but at the same time, like we're doing like a hype
Yeah.
video for
Yeah.
Lent. Okay, what about you guys? Did you grow up with any traditions?
I feel like you have to talk about Pancake Day.
I mean, I have to talk about Pancake
You
Day.
got to talk about Pancake Day.
So, if you've listened to an episode with me on before, two things. One, I grew up in the UK. Two, I'm the resident Protestant. So, less
I thought
with...
that was going to be your fun fact, by the way. I'm coming into the church
Sneak that
Easter
in.
this year.
So my Catholic experience of Lent has only been the last 5, 6, 7 years since being with AG. And it's been great, to be honest. But yeah, Pancake Day is our Mardi Gras. It's our Shrove Tuesday situation. And the UK has tried really hard to secularize pancakes as much as they can. I don't know that it's very successful.
Wait, okay, yeah, okay.
But there
Tying
is
back
a...
into okay.
So the idea of Pancake Day is you're taking your sugars and your flours and your milks and your eggs and all that good stuff you should be giving up for Lent, and you're putting it in pancakes, and you're gorging yourself on pancakes.
Right.
I've gone pretty hardcore some years and done pancakes for every meal. I like
Yeah.
it best that way on Pancake Day. On the flip side of that, it's a cultural thing outside of Christianity in the UK, I'd say as well. Some people are just like, oh, today is the day we eat pancakes, and maybe it had something to do with Christianity once.
Right.
And then you get people who pass by Pancake Day, don't participate in Lent, and get to make their own Pancake Day because no one wants to miss Pancake Day. I think James A. Caster has a fantastic skit
Yes.
about that, actually.
It's very funny about pancake.
I just my favorite sentence maybe ever on Honest to God is the UK is trying really hard to secularize pancakes. Those Brits
And we're
ruining
not-
everything.
And we're not talking like U.S. thick short stacks. We're talking like crepes and
Okay,
the British's excuse for a crepe,
sure.
which is worse.
Yeah.
Crepes are fantastic, and the British pancake, it has a lot going for it, but it's not a crepe and it's not an American
Sure.
big fluffy deliciousness. But yeah, I mix them up. I mix up the styles of pancake on
Okay.
Pancake Day personally. Otherwise, yeah, from the Protestant viewpoint, I think, you know, it's difficult speaking from the Protestant viewpoint because there's a gazillion, right?
Mhm.
There's too many denominations, so I can't speak for everyone. Growing up in a more of a Baptist context, I suppose, I think Lent is sometimes underappreciated. I assume that's universal with all Christian groups. Just, you know, you have a range of conversations about Lent.
We
with
really
people.
like to stereotype and lump 40,000 different Protestant denominations together here in Honest to God.
Exactly. I've been at churches where they take it very seriously and they do the whole, is it Exodus 23?
Exodus
90.
Exodus 90 is
yeah.
the
90,
big
there
one,
we
yeah.
go. And I've been at churches which don't even mention the word
Right.
and didn't for, you know, years of going there. It was something, you know, opt in, opt out.
Right.
So yeah, coming into this Catholic context and getting to know my now lovely wife, always lovely, now wife. It's been educational and really cool. I think we stand to learn a lot.
John Marco, what about, I mean, and once again, did you grow up in Venezuela? You told me you were born in Venezuela.
So I moved there when I was quite young, around 4 years old.
Oh, you
but-
moved to Venezuela.
No, to the U.S.
To the US,
yeah,
okay.
from Venezuela. And yeah, me and my family, we weren't always the most outwardly Catholic, I would say.
Same. Sure.
It was because when you're there, when you're in the country, it's easy.
Mhm.
Like, you know, everyone's Catholic, everything is Catholic. So, but I would say something that we would do, and I would eat a lot, were these things called lentejas,
Mhm.
or lentils in
Sure.
English. I didn't know the English name till about like a year ago.
Okay.
And it was my favorite. I loved them. I love lentejas, and it was like my favorite meal ever. And it wasn't till about 2 years ago when I came back to the church
Praise God.
that I realized that it's named for Lent because they're packed with protein and
Lentejas
fiber.
and lentils, the same
Yeah,
thing?
yeah.
I love lentil soup. That's like a
Yeah,
big
yeah.
staple in my house.
Yeah. I loved it. And so, yeah, I definitely, when I, my first Lent that I practiced properly, like as a Catholic, I kind of looked towards the Eastern traditions, honestly, and tried to do all that, for my first Lent. And it was just
You
destroyed
gotta ease into
me.
that,
Oh my
son.
gosh.
Yeah, for sure.
But I was very happy that I got to eat lentejas like every day. And I was like, I'm never got sick of it.
So wait, the word lentils comes from the word Lent? Wait,
From-
you're the
This is new to
etymology
me.
guy. I'm looking at
No,
you every time
yeah,
one word
this
means
is brand new to me.
So I'm just making it up. I remember looking it up though, and I'm pretty sure it comes from
I'm
the
all
fact
about it.
I think you're
that
right.
Yeah.
it's lentils because during Lent, yeah, that was a huge source of protein and fiber and a filling and cheap. So,
Yeah. Dude,
Yeah.
little
Makes sense.
that's
Yeah.
what's up. Yeah, I'm a huge fan. What about, and we've only got a few minutes, so this will probably spill over into the next segment, but what about during Lent? We've got lots of good, here's what we do leading up to Lent. Here's all the fun we have going up to Fat Tuesday and whatever. What about during, because I struggle with it. I've talked about this before on the show. I've got 6 kids. I've been married for almost 15 years. And I'm still looking around like, we need to do things. There's things we need to do that I don't know how to do because I didn't do those when I was a kid, to make these certain seasons, these liturgical seasons, something that is set apart purposefully, right? Something aside from following the church's, you know, I'm abstaining on Fridays and I'm fasting and all of these things. Like, anybody have any of those that they grew up with or any that they practice now?
I'm sorry. You can go ahead.
I would say, I do think that there's some merit to going back to traditionally what the church taught to do. So like obviously in the East we just discussed like what their thing is. I think it's good to start off with a pillar of doing kind of like joining together of what everyone's doing together before you quote unquote start customizing your own plan, right? Because there's also a brotherhood that grows when you both know the type of suffering you're going through. So like when me and you are not eating meat or having the same kind of meals, there's a, even within the church body, there's like a growth together that happens. And if you have everyone doing something else, there's almost a disconnect because it's like, oh, well, you're struggling with social media, so you're not doing the phone, but I'm not doing that. So I'm doing the cold shower thing instead and doing kind of like there. So I do think there's a merit to just looking at what was an ancient pillar of the church of how they did Lent and going from that first before trying to decide what you should do.
I think I'm thinking more in like a taking on perspective, right? Because we're once again like in my house we're following obviously the prescriptions that we're supposed to follow and all of these things. But a lot of times it comes, and this is true of a lot of things unfortunately in the church, right? It becomes this sort of this thing that we're doing because we do this thing at this time, and there's not much of an examination of, and here's the why. And we're gonna have to take a break because we're almost at time. But I really want to dig into the whys and how, like, even how I, as a father, can better understand that for the sake of sharing it with my children, for the sake of that becoming a family thing. This has been really fun, though, guys. I'm excited. Please stick around. We're gonna take a quick commercial break here in a few minutes, and then we're gonna be right back. Sound good?
Yeah.
Y'all are wonderful. Thanks so much, guys. Ladies and gentlemen, thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. This is Honest to God, a production of The Quest, Atlanta's Catholic Radio. We'll be right back. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are back. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. This is Honest to God, a production of The Quest, Atlanta's Catholic Radio. Super pumped to be here. Still rocking and rolling. We've got John Marco. We got Patrick. We got Justin. And we got AG. We had a really great commercial break there, guys. Thanks for listening to me rant about karmic justice from shows I watched as an adolescent and black ink, squid ink pasta and all that stuff. It's a good time.
Delicious.
It is.
A lot. You're here. You want to say hey? Do you got a camera
I
here
am
right
good. Hey, I do. And actually, this is the clearest camera I've ever had on me. So.
now? I feel bad. I didn't introduce you in the beginning. Producer
Oh, no,
Madeline's,
that's
Madeline's
okay.
here.
At this point, people should know I'm here.
They do. They do. They get disappointed every time
Yeah.
you're not on. We get emails saying where's Producer Madeline.
I know. I have people storming the studio, actually.
Constantly.
If you can hear them outside performing live, they're trying to get my autograph.
It's
but
a good thing
had
we
to
got all the soundproofing and everything.
hold them back, yeah.
On in here, yeah. So we're talking about all things Lent. Last segment, we spent a lot of time talking about all the preparation for the time of preparation and penance, right? All the preparation for Lent. We talked about the Fat Tuesdays and all of these things, and we focused a lot on the giving stuff up. But like I said, how Advent, I feel like, has recently been getting a little more attention from the church. I think one thing I've been hearing a lot more, at least for the last decade or so, is what are you taking on for Lent, right? And like I was saying before we went to break, that's one of my big things as a father. Even if it's not, I'm taking on an extra holy hour every week. If all I'm taking on during Lent is a better understanding of what this time is for, as opposed to me just following the rules that are set forth. I'm not even knocking like the rule followers. It's good if you're fasting because that's what you do. You fast. There is still something good about that. I think that's still useful. But how can we better understand the purpose of it? How can we better understand what it's for? And what can we do during these 40 days to, better immerse ourselves in the purpose of this liturgical season?
I think a good way is turning back to the monastics, like the Desert Fathers and stuff. And so, you can think of it also as the reason you fast and stuff is to simplify your cooking and stuff so you have more time to pray, right? And so that would be kind of like the reason for fasting. So, I talked to my Father Elias at St. John's not long ago, and we were, talking about spiritual battles and stuff like that. And he asked me the question, like, do you know why the monastics or the Desert Fathers went out into the desert? And I was like, oh, well, because it's disconnected society, so it's like easier fasting. He's like, no, because that's where the demons are. So it's you go out there to fast, to combat the passions, the thing. And, a good example of that is obviously St. Anthony the Great, of locking himself in a cell. And, that's where you have the popular paintings and stuff of him being kind of like torn apart by demons and stuff. And I think that's kind of a good image for Lent, is combating you can say like combating the demonic in your own life and making more time for prayer to be closer, to shed all that and get closer with Christ and God.
That's awesome. That's a really good answer.
Yeah.
Anybody got anything to add? I'd be really impressed if anybody's got something to throw in there.
Actually, just on the analogy of the desert, I think there's a reason we have these programs called Exodus 90 and Exodus Lent. It's the story of Exodus is the Israelites being taken out from slavery, from the pharaohs that bind them, and being put into this period of trial. And the reason is not just because God wants to see them suffer. It's because when you're in the desert, you have nothing to turn to.
Right.
You have nothing to distract you. You have nothing that is going to take your attention away from God. And they tried. I mean, they tried really hard. The Israelites tried really hard to turn to other idols and such. But whenever they did, they died. And they suffered greatly. And so I think Lent is our period in Exodus, a way trying to detach ourselves from everything that is bad but also good, because we fast. Red meat isn't a bad thing.
Right.
It's not an evil thing. A warm shower isn't an evil thing. These are good things, but it's questioning what is the higher good.
Sure.
What is the true good that we want to orient ourselves to?
Well, and how many saints, right? How many good holy priests speak about the reason that we give up things that aren't objective evils, right? Things that are good, that are lesser goods, that are sensual goods or whatever, right? Is for the sake of steeling ourselves for those times when we need to say no to things that are actually evil, right? The reason that it's good, even if in a totally secular context, right? The reason why it's good, if you don't want to run, to go for a run, right, is because self-mastery is good innately, right? It is virtuous. And I love the desert analogy too, because what do we live in now? I don't care where you live. I don't care if you live in a literal desert right now. If you're able to get this radio station, you live in the exact opposite of a desert in every single context, right? We live wealthier, more opulent lives than the kings of Babylon right now if you're making $35,000 a year in the United States, which is ridiculous. That's crazy. I mean, it's good. Yeah. Praise God, right? Industrial Revolution, whatever. But it's going back to what I started the show with. It's so unnatural. And so we're trying to connect with a God who loves us and desires us and wants to spend eternity with us in the most artificial place that has literally ever existed in the history of human civilization. Whoa, that's cool. Everybody should run off to the desert for Lent.
Yeah.
I like that. What do you think, Justin?
I think I don't have too much to add, but perhaps to echo a little bit and expand on some ideas we've heard. So if we're talking about our time in the desert, specifically in the context of Jesus' time there, it was to come out again. No, he was going to prepare for the rest of his mission after his baptism.
Sure.
So I think the best way to spend Lent is to put off and take on things that will leave you a better Christian, a better follower of Christ when Lent's over. I mean, usually that's part of why I think I'm pretty bad at Lent, and I struggle to select what I'll give up and what I'll put on, because I'm trying to think, what if this were a permanent adjustment, and go with that, guys. And in previous years, that's been really good for dealing with some stuff, and making some strides in my walk. And in other years, it's fallen a bit flat. And I think it can be a different experience for each of us year on year. But yeah.
And I think Lent too, I don't think we suffer. In modern society, thinking about the desert, we don't really suffer as Americans. In the grand scheme of things, we do not even begin to have the struggles that other people have. And I think during Lent, even if it's taking a cold shower, even if it's giving up meat, even if it's doing, giving up social media, in some way we are suffering a little bit, just like Christ suffered for us. And even though it's kind of dumb, it's kind of stupid, it's like social media or stuff like that. In a way, I think as members of society, it's important for us to suffer a little bit. I think that we should, because it helps better understand other people and the walks that they're going through in their own life. And I think as Americans, we just don't suffer enough. I think we should suffer
No,
enough.
I agree. And as Catholics, we have this beautiful understanding of how like suffering is a part of life.
Yeah.
Suffering is not even necessarily something to be avoided always. In fact, sometimes suffering is something to be really embraced. And you're right, when we talk about suffering, right, we don't have any idea what we're talking about.
No.
We might feel like we do,
Yeah.
right? But I mean, when we talk about suffering in this context, right, of, am I going to give up Instagram or am I going to give up alcohol? Like, okay,
Yeah.
boo-hoo. And I'm not trying to minimize it. I mean, I think even the tiniest like movement in that direction. I had somebody tell me the other day, I'm doing some spiritual exercises and stuff right now, and I was like, I'm just bad at this. And he said, here's how I do it every day. I try to suck a little bit less. And I was like, that is a goal I can work towards. It's like just a little bit, even if it's a tiny bit, even if just to make a little bit of progress in that direction. So I'm not saying, we all need to, once again, cover ourselves in ashes and sackcloth and, go pluck our beards and beat our breasts in the street and rend our garments and all that stuff. There might be a time and place. That would, that would be a neat tradition, actually. But yeah, I do think that there's something that's good about even if it's that little bitty minimalist amount of suffering.
Yeah.
Last thing I want to say too, though, is also like having prudence with it, in the sense like you don't want to also take on too much where you end up hating the season of Lent.
Right.
It's important that you treat it as an opportunity for growth and not as a period of resentment where you're just like, I'm just so glad this is over now.
Right.
Like, and then you like dread Lent, like the following years and stuff. So also like, take on some more, but like not too much to the point where you hate your life.
Yeah, well, and you were saying earlier, I think it's a great point. Doing it communally is a beautiful thing, and a really good. My son is only 13 years old, right? But he does Exodus Lent, right? He has the past few Lents minus the food restrictions, right? Because I'm not letting my teenage adolescent boy, right, like do serious fasts or anything right now. And it's the best thing ever, like for me and him. And we really do. Like, it sounds weird during Lent. Kind of have fun. It's kind of great to be like, oh, this is awful. Yeah, high five, right? And I think doing, especially as you approach, right, like maybe more difficult sufferings, right, once you're sort of progressing and trying to take on more, not doing it by yourself and not just sort of wallowing in solitude. It's good to be like the desert hermits. We don't have to be exactly like the desert hermits. Yeah,
no, absolutely. I think, and that's the point I wanted to touch on before is, fraternity absolutely in Lent is so important because just like. Again, I keep coming back to Exodus and Exodus 90, but it's changed my life personally. Like the Israelites had each other. They had Moses. Yeah. God didn't abandon them in the desert. They had guidance. And I think that's so applicable in our modern practice of Lent. For me personally, at my college community in Kennesaw, shout out, the guys that we get together for Exodus is just, last year it's just life-changing. And we get so close. And we really just bear all of our wounds to each other. We're like, guys, like I need help, I need prayers, I need this. And to see the evolution of these people, the leaders that have been built, the difficult periods of time that they've had to go through, it's just so beautiful. And it's made all of us more manly and more men than we ever have been. And in Fiat as well, Fiat 90 is a female program too. A lot of the girls are getting into that, our community, and it's seeming really fruitful as well.
And I can only speak to this from the male perspective, obviously. So when I say guys, I'm not saying, and it doesn't apply to you, AG, right? But I will say this: anytime I've done anything like that involved community, right? When I'm saying we're going to do Exodus Lent or whatever, going through those trials together opens up a camaraderie and a brotherhood between individuals that allows a type of male intimacy that we so desperately need and that we as men had for a very long time until fairly recently, when it seemed everything that was male, I don't know, just emotion and male. It seems like fairly recently we got sort of the two types of masculinity that were allowed. One was feminine, emasculine, and the other was hyper machismo masculine. That's not masculine at all, like cartoon character masculinity. Every time I've done anything like that, it has been this brotherhood of all this. I mean, like really fast. Like, oh, hey, let me tell you everything that I'm actually dealing with, and all these wounds that I have in my heart, because I really want to share them with another man who's going to understand them. Yeah. So absolutely. I know that was a little digression from Lent, but so. I want to talk about just sort of some brass tack stuff. We're going to talk about fish fries in a second. But first, I want to go around. If anybody's comfortable, once again, I know that I think Jesus literally specifically says not to do this, so just bear with me, and you can say that's none of your business. But I would love to talk about if you got some plans for what you're giving up or what you're taking on during Lent. And then if you could stand on the street corners, beat your breast, and announce loudly that that's what you're doing so everyone knows how holy you are, we're going to do that after the show.
Okay, good.
You already know, AG?
Yeah, actually, it was funny. We were talking about it in the car. So I am really bad about cussing, even if it's just the two of us. Not really in public. Not really that kind of person.
Sure.
But like I said, like my public persona, which is so dumb.
That is dumb. Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, but yeah, like it's one of those things. Like we went on a retreat. We helped with some high schoolers. And we went on a retreat, and some of the girls were talking about, not even necessarily to me, like that's something they struggle with, and I was like, I struggle with that too, and I'm the adult, and I'm supposed to be better at this than you. And I don't know, it was just kind of a wake-up call, because it wasn't really something like I worried about, like, again, in public or, you know, with kids and stuff, but I was like, I feel like this is a little ridiculous, you know? So yeah, so I it was one of those things, like, I feel like my social media I've kind of handled over the past few years, because that used to be kind of crazy, but I was trying to really think about something, and I was like, oh, of course it's the hard thing that I'm going to have to do, because that's the best thing to do.
I struggle with language too. I have for a long time. I grew up and spent a lot of time in locker rooms. I was a firefighter and whatever. I just had whatever. And I had a buddy who, and I'm much better. I'm definitely not perfect at it by any means. But I had a buddy who's like, I'm going to stop cursing. Every time I curse, I'm making the sign of the cross. I don't care where I am. I don't care if I'm in public. I'm doing that. And I started to do that. Like, first I felt like a shit, because he said, do you want me to do it when you curse too? And I was like, yeah. And then after a while I was like, stop doing that. But then I did. That's helped me a lot. That's helped me a lot. So, what about you, Justin? You got any ideas?
Well, as I say, I find it difficult. So we're going to call it like soft launch and tentative release. But I think something we landed on the car ride here, we come from Henry County, so about 2 hours, especially with traffic.
Thank you for the drive.
Of course. I think I'm going to try doing that thing. I think I might have done it a previous year, where you only watch television in company, so with my wife, and not by myself. I feel like lately, especially the last 3 months or so, wintertime, I suppose, there's been a lot of solo Justin TV time, probably too much.
Yeah.
And I could definitely get more quiet time, as you might say, like Bible study and prayer time, and silence and quiet and reflection into that. So at the moment, that's what I'm thinking we're going to try.
My wife and I have the most schizophrenic relationship imaginable with television, where we'll go like months, and it's like we're just going to lay in bed and read biographies next to each other like we're old people. And then it's like we're going to watch every single episode of the show in the next 3 weeks. Should we give the kids melatonin so they go to bed earlier so we can get a couple more episodes in and stay up till 3 o'clock in the morning? Yeah, I struggle with moderation with the TV thing, even with my wife, but I love it. What about you, Patrick?
I'm kind of like the rule follower. I'm going along with the Eastern fast, but I also recognize that I struggle. My biggest struggle is YouTube. I can watch YouTube, and you know, I watch a lot of like just theological and educational stuff.
Yeah.
And like things. So, but it still becomes to the point where it's just too much. And so, I'm in addition to the Eastern fast we talked about, I'm also going to not watch YouTube.
Yeah, so it's like too good. The algorithm thing has, like, I realize more and more all the time how much my brain is totally hijacked, and how this computer is like melding with it. And how do you know that is exactly what I would like to watch next? It will keep me from closing this thing. Yeah, it's impressive. I get that.
Yeah. So I am right now currently doing Exodus 90, most of those disciplines and stuff like that.
Second year in a row?
Yeah.
Heck yeah, dude.
Yeah.
Good for you.
No, I mean, we were literally like, the guys in December, we were like, oh, I can't wait. I can't wait to do this again. Like, life has been just like kind of boring, and just like I need something to push me. I need some discipline. I love cold showers. I love it.
Cold showers.
It's so nice, because it's just like, yeah, there's nothing like that'll wake you up in the morning, or that'll just focus your mind like just freezing cold water. Like, I like that my legs go numb, but when you get out, it's the most amazing feeling. And I think that's a good analogy for like why we fast, is to then enjoy what we usually have so much access to, right? Like warmth in my apartment. Like when I step out of the ice cold shower, it's like, oh wow, it's like actually always the correct temperature
This
that I want it to
63
be.
or
Yeah.
68 degrees is perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But something specifically for Lent that I want to give up is these kind of go hand in hand, is listening to music in the car and speeding. I'm trying to like stay at or below the speed limit, which is just like everyone's gonna honk at me and flash the lights at me, but it's like,
It's gonna
okay,
be great.
it's fine. Yeah, and just loud music in the car. I feel like I want more silence and talking with God
I
more.
had a spiritual director who basically prescribed me one time for a month. He was like, "You're not listening to stuff in the car anymore." I was like, "Dude, I drive like an hour and a half round trip." He's like, "Don't care. You're not
Yeah.
whatever." And it sucked, and then it was really good. Like it just was terrible, and then it was really, really good. And I try to force myself now to just turn the radio off the last 10 minutes of the drive. Right, turn off. I don't listen to a lot of music, but listen to a lot of podcasts or books on tape or whatever. Yeah, it's beautiful. I'm doing the Exodus 40 thing with my kid.
Nice.
It's gonna be super fun. I'm not brave enough for the morning cold showers. I do the evening cold showers, then the morning like splash, just to wake me up. Because I need water on my face in the morning. We also have a river like right by our house, like not a creek, like a good sized river, and we'll go cold plunge in that. And that's a fun. There's nothing like having a 13-year-old boy who's like, I got to prove to the world I'm a man all the time. And to be like, well, I don't want my kid to think I'm a wimp. Like, all right, I guess.
Yeah.
When it snowed not too long ago, he's like, Dad, we're cold plunging, right? And I was like, yeah, we're cold plunging. In the back of my mind, I was like, oh, why would I ever agree to do it? It's terrible.
Yeah.
He fell in, and I didn't have to do a cold plunge because he fell in it by himself separately in all of his clothes. And he came back. He's like, I don't really want to cold plunge anymore. I was like, me either. That's fine. That's fine, buddy. I'll rest if that's what you want to do. No, but that's really good. All right, favorite part of Lent. Everyone knows. Obviously, the fish fries.
Obviously.
AG, you wouldn't happen to have anything to say about that, would you?
Fish fries, I feel, well, I will say on a deeper level, I think fish fries are important to church community. I think that's really how you get to meet your church community. I know that's been like the thing for me, is like to really get together with the church. I feel like a lot of times, particularly in Catholic churches, sometimes we're bad about like organizing events and like doing things like that, or it's only for one group of people, maybe older adults. That's like the only events they do. So I feel like fish fry season is great for like actually getting to know people in your parish and stuff like that. But yes, if you need to know where your local fish fry is, City on Purpose has a fish fry guide with all of the fish fries happening in the state. And if
Like
there's
everywhere in Metro Atlanta, or is it statewide?
not only in Metro Atlanta, but the whole state, up in Dahlonega, up in Macon.
You're saying Diocese of Savannah as well as Archdiocese of Atlanta?
There's a few Archdiocese of Savannah in there too. So
That's awesome. That's actually really, really cool.
Yeah. So, and if there's not one on there, we can add it. So just let us know. And yeah, it's a great way to like, especially if you're on vacation, if you're on spring break, and you just want to like get to know a local church, go to a fish fry. It's the best way to meet people.
Big shout out to Christ Redeemer, in my experience. That's been my favorite fish fry I've ever been to. We used to go there all the time. It's very good.
I feel like one of my favorites is, I think it's Immaculate Heart of Mary. Yes, IHM. They do really good fish tacos, like really solid fish tacos. And I feel like more churches need to do fish tacos.
Do I have to feel bad? This is a serious question to the group. Do I have to feel bad about being excited about fish fries? Because I also get excited about, and don't judge me for this one, McDonald's Filet-O-Fish sandwiches on Friday. They're not on the menu anymore. The doubles aren't on the menu, but if you ask, they'll give you a double. I like get pumped. I'm like amped up. I like wake up Friday morning. I'm like, let's go McDonald's today after work, and I drive there. I don't know. So I appreciate y'all's head shaking. I feel like I should feel a little bad about feeling so good. I mean, can somebody tell me why that's wrong?
No, I think it's because it's actually kind of funny. You kind of segued into my thought process. I don't know how you did that.
We're
But,
in the same wavelength.
yeah, I think it's really beautiful because I come from a tradition of Catholicism where in like my Italian and like Hispanic background, it's like the culture is built around these communal events. Like that's really that, and in my country and in Europe as well, it's like that's almost all that's left of the church is people aren't really going to mass, but they're going to these feast day parades and these big events that are like they just happen all the time and it's consistent. And I like to see that in the U.S. And if that is in the form of a fish fry, that's perfect. Like I think I like to see just something culture. I think we get excited as Americans as well to see our culture, like even if it's in the McDonald's menu or Zaxby's too. Zaxby's also does during Lent. They start serving fish.
Are you kidding me,
Yeah.
Ryan?
No.
They have,
Yeah.
I think, shrimp. I think
Yeah.
they have shrimp now.
They
yeah.
start serving.
I will
shrimp.
I can't even do the
100%.
shrimp.
Yes, I love it.
Yeah. So yeah, I think we just get naturally excited to see that there's aspects of American culture that maybe have already existed that are Catholic, but are slowly coming in, and like we have a spot there too. You know.
I think the other thing for me too, because I've just lived in the South my entire life, and I haven't really like felt that cultural thing. Like Catholics are not usually in the cultural majority here.
Sure.
Like it's so cool to like go to all these bunch of churches, and it's like, oh my gosh, we're all doing the same thing. We're all like suffering in the same way, but like we can all enjoy this season together. We can all like hang out together. We can all enjoy this no matter like where I am. I still have this like family.
I feel much better. No, like, I'm serious. Like, I actually really appreciate that. I like the idea that I have almost a moral obligation to patronize
You do.
fast food, even fish places, because that I'm supporting them going along with the Catholic thing. I
You have
really,
to support your local fish fry.
yeah.
And honestly, invite your friendly Protestant neighbor, because
You might get engaged to them one day. You might get married to them one day.
Yeah.
You might.
Cheers
But
to the fisherman.
I mean, that wasn't how we met. But
I wish
could
it
have
was.
been. But no, genuinely, I think whenever we mention it to our Protestant friends and family, they get kind of envious. It's, one of these lost arts, just breaking bread together,
Yes.
communing in that way. And, I was trying to think whether or not to really bring it up. In the British context, it's another one of those things that they didn't secularize. They just kind of absorbed into culture and then forgot about the origin again.
Right.
So regardless of Lent, every Friday tends to be the day you go for fish and chips, if no other day of the week. My nan, my grandma on my English side, my nanny, she lived this out her whole life, and that's pretty normal.
Right.
She was raised Catholic, so perhaps she also had that association.
Mm-hmm.
But it's good to see it in its proper place.
Yes.
It's good to be in a church, getting to know people, eating good food. And yeah, I think there's plenty to be excited about there, guiltlessly.
Give us one more time. Where can we find that?
CityOnPurpose.com.
And we will put it in the show notes. All right, guys, this is good. I really enjoyed this episode. I'm pumped for. Now I feel like I'm allowed to say I'm pumped for Lent. I feel pretty good about Lent. Any last second thoughts on Lent? We got like maybe 30 seconds left on the clock before we close out. Do it in community. That's my last thought, right? Do it in community. Don't try to atomize it and be by yourself somewhere. Be a part of it. Yeah, guys, please pray for me for a good Lent. And let's all pray for each other and the listeners. And thank y'all so much for your time. It's always a blast. Producer Madeline, thanks for being Producer Madeline.
Yeah, you're welcome. Thanks for being our host.
No, you're the best, guys. Thanks for being here. Ladies and gentlemen at home, thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. This is Honest to God, a production of the Quest Atlantis Catholic Radio. This is a long shot. Let me see if I can get it. Producer Madeline,
It looked good in the shot.
over and out.
Over and out.